Hello everybody and welcome back to YouthZone Bray. This is episode 4. I am back. I am Paul Tracy with my co-host who runs this train wreck, Dermot O'Brien. And today we're joined by the stars of the show, Aaron King, Sean O'Brien and Sean O'Connell. And today we have our first guest on the podcast, and that is Rob Carey from Muai Thai Gym and Bloc Gym in Bray. Rob, thanks very much for joining us.
No problem at all.
I guess two reasons we had you on. One, you reached out to the boys when we talked about lads really not having a lot to do on a Friday night, and you provided the space for the lads to train in, and we did a program around there which was brilliant. Second reason is that you work with two of the lads here, Sean and Aaron, and I guess there is a third reason as well, is that everybody has a story, and we would love to know how you got involved in Muay Thai.
I think the first time I was exposed to Muay Thai, it's kind of a peripheral sport really. Like, it was like, did you ever see that movie Kickboxer?
Yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme back in the day. It was from that, but that film's deadly if you've ever seen it. But it's kind of like, I didn't expect to get a chance to do that when I was a young lad. There was nothing like that around. But then my first coach, Mike Dockery, set up a club near to where I lived, and myself and all my mates joined, and that was kind of it. That was nearly 20 years ago, and it's mad. Like, nearly all the lads are still involved in the sport. Some of them are coaches. They're all nearing the end of their fight career at this stage, but yeah, all still going. You know, had a real big and instant impact.
Yeah, and you've obviously, Sean is looking at you right there, one of the guys you work with here. Sean, you started very young. How young were you when you first went to train with Rob?
I'd say I was around 8 or 9, even younger probably. I'm not sure on the exact age, but yeah, around 8 or 9.
Yeah, Sean was one of the first through the doors really in the first couple of months, and that was him and a couple of other students that kind of stuck with it. But in terms of the sport, like, even though you're 16 now?
16,
like,
yeah.
He's an absolute veteran on the Muay Thai scene, man. He's been fighting for 8 years, about 8 years now. Like, it's incredible. Like, he's fucking dozens of fights. He's fought in the UK. He's fought obviously all over Ireland, and it's amazing to see the journey that it was on. He's been on. But Sean was one of these lads that occasionally you get a kid through the doors, and straight away you can see, right, this lad, no matter what sport he goes to, he was going to be good at it. Like, it was no surprise to hear that he was a high-level footballer and that he was good with a horde and all that type of thing. Like, it was blatantly obvious that was where Sean was at, you know. So from my point of view, it was just equipping him with the skills and letting him run with it and see what he can do, you know.
I'd love to know. So when you're 8, you probably do try everything. You go in and out. You start something, you drop it, you get distracted, you go on to something else. Why did you stay? What kept you there?
I was always interested in like boxing or some type of combat sport, but I never really tried it. And like, I didn't try boxing or anything. I just did Muay Thai, and then it stuck with me. It was good. Like, you go up to the gym, it wasn't like people would say it's like scary if you're a young lad going to a gym, but it was grand. Like, just having a laugh and just going up and trying, and you just keep going. You get fights, and you want to just keep going.
There's something as well, and I'd like that. I know the lads are involved in other sports as well, where there's coaches, and I'd love to hear your view, Rob, and then the lads' view as well about. So us as youth workers, there are times when we bring young people to activities where there's coaches or professionals who are leading the activity, and sometimes we would end up having a conversation about someone who might be, let's say, rock climbing, someone who's very good at rock climbing in their own right, but not great at teaching it. So when you think about fighters who become coaches and then successful coaches, what are the ingredients for a good coach?
Well, in my view, like, the transition from being a fighter to a coach can be quite a difficult one. As you say, it's not something that all fighters necessarily can do, you know what I mean? And conversely, it's the same in that you don't necessarily have to be like a world champ level fighter to then make a good coach. But the way I kind of see it is that, like, the reason why it's kind of a difficult transition for a lot of fighters is because you have to be really, really, really self-obsessed to be a top level fighter. Like, you have to really only care about yourself, your own progress, your own development. You have to be like ruthlessly single-minded, especially when there's weight cuts and, you know, your training's tough and you've got a big fight coming up. You have to shut out all your other distractions and just go for it. Now, that is a very different thing to being a coach. You have to completely take yourself out of, you know, being the centerpiece of what's going on, and then put all your attention on the other people around you, you know. And that some people can do that, you know what I mean? Some people who are absolute top level fighters, like, could you picture McGregor being a good coach? Maybe, but I don't know if if you'd have the right mentality, maybe you would be, but like it's not necessarily an easy transition. A great fighter doesn't necessarily mean a great coach. You have to be able to start putting your students front and centre.
And that has to be conscious then. It doesn't just happen. You have to make them choices.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like if you have students and they get the impression that like you're coaching them for your own ego trip, or you know, you don't really care about them, you know what I mean? You're just going in there ticking boxes when you're coaching. They're going to get wide to that. They're going to get that vibe off you, you know what I mean? And they're not really going to want to hang around, you know what I mean? You have to be able to demonstrate to your students that you actually care, you know what I mean? Like if they get a loss, do you drop them a text and see how they're doing, you know what I mean? If they have something coming up, do you ask them how they're feeling, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, you know? And it's not rocket science, but like if you genuinely care, these things will just happen naturally, you know?
Yeah. Lads, your experiences of coaches in any sports or any disciplines, what stands out? What makes a good coach, Sean?
Well, my dad's my coach, so
All right.
for
So,
football, so like he puts me through thick and thin with football. Like, he makes sure that I'm like doing the best that I can because he knows what I can do.
Right.
So like he's harder on me than he is on anyone else.
why is that? And
Because he wants to see me do the best I can. But like say if he knows I'm half arse or something, he'll say like, right, put your head down and get into it.
and you respond to that? Would you
No,
respond to that if it was any good coach, or is there a way of doing
like
it that
if-
matters?
If I know that he's doing it for a reason, then I'm like, right, he's doing this so I can do better in the game or something. So I'm like, right, that's alright, I'll listen to him, like, because I know that he knows more than me, like, so
Fair.
just listen to him, like.
Aaron, coaches in your life so far, what stands out? What makes a good coach?
Um,
Being a chef.
pretty much the exact same as Sean said. Just someone with a lot of experience, someone that knows more than you, and someone that wants you to just do what's best for you.
Paul, I know you're the coach as well. What would you say is the qualities that you have or that you've seen across your lifespan? And I know you've coached more than one sport.
Coach my cousin.
I have coached more than one sport, and I resonate with what Rob said, and I think youth work and coaching are very, very similar because life is about relationships, and the better relationship you can form with whoever it is you're coaching, regardless of the sport. Rob said the little things like dropping somebody a text pre-fight or post-fight and saying, how you doing, how you feeling, you were good, you know, you could have done whatever better. And I think the meaning that people that you're working with take from that, it actually shows that you care. And then I think those relationships as well help you to get the best out of people too. You know, the stronger your relationship with somebody is, the better the outcome for that person, I guess. Aaron, I knew you did boxing when you were younger. What made you switch now to Muay Thai, which is a new discipline for you that you've taken up, and I've seen you train. You seem to be doing quite well.
Well, I done boxing when I was younger, but I only had like a little bit of a background in it. I wasn't sticking at it for ages because I was doing football at the same time. So then I made a decision when I was like, say around 9, and I left boxing, went into football then, and I don't know, I just missed going down and like hitting the bag, whatever. So then, obviously my dad used to be up in the gym. My dad told me.
Aaron's dad, Lee, like there's some kind of very transferable skills in Muay Thai and boxing, you know. So having good hands is you know, really, really useful. So we brought in Lee as our boxing coach. He was our boxing coach for over a year, I think, and yeah, it was brilliant. Like, I mean, my kind of style in Muay Thai, like I kind of like the scoring and you know, the kicking and stuff like that, the real Thai style stuff. But then I remember in the first show after Lee came on and started coaching, like all our lads just started stopping lads with the hands, just knocking lads clean out. And so it was like, all right, we're keeping this lad. So he was there for a good while, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember him mentioning Aaron a few times over the years, I'm going to try and get him in, you know? Yeah. And finally, after his dad bounced, he turns up, you know? Yeah. But Aaron's another one of these lads that you can tell has it, you know, and could really do something in the sport. So, yeah, I've been. We have something lined up for him in a couple of months. Hopefully, we get him for his first match, and we'll take him there.
I always thought, and I said it to Aaron, he's always a natural fitness about him. He could go upstairs and eat 10 pizzas, and he never puts on a pound. He kind of has that sort of metabolism in him where he's just naturally fit.
But he's from a pedigree, in fairness, you know.
He is. He comes from somewhere. Sean, you've never done combat sports. Are you a fan of it? Would you watch stuff like the UFC and stuff like that?
Yeah, I normally do watch like boxing and like UFC and all that. So
yeah, so you do have like a keen kind of interest in it.
No, yeah, I like watching boxing a lot because like I done it years ago with him in what's it called down in Bray, and then I done it in trees for a bit as well. So,
yeah. So
like
you do have a little bit of training in it.
Yeah, I done it for a few years, but like I couldn't stick with it because I had to do football and then boxing straight after. same days and all, so it was just bet out.
How do you deal with that, Rob, when there's young people, whether 3 or 4 there, and you really want them to focus on the Muay Thai because you think they have a gift at that? Is that
Yeah.
frustrating for you at times?
It can be, but look, you have to just let them kind of make their own decisions on it. Like, but I mean, what tends to happen is that people will go through phases with it. You know what I mean? There's very few people who will just like throw everything aside and just dedicate themselves to a sport like Muay Thai. You know, so like Sean was probably, as in his first few years, he was kind of more involved in the football, and that was his main focus. And now he would put his time into the Muay Thai, and he would take it seriously, but at the same time, like, he had to put a lot of time into the football, and that was fair enough, you know. So it was fine, but he hadn't trained in a while, and I remember reaching out to his dad and saying, "What's the story? I haven't seen him. Like, it'd be great to have him back, you know." Because it was around the time that Sorry, I'm just wrecking the place. Like, it was around the time that Muay Thai got accepted as a demonstration sport in the Olympics. So all of a sudden, it went from being this niche little sport that, okay, this is going to be in the Olympics now, like. And there was also like a big fight promotion called One Championship started up, and all of a sudden those lads getting million euro contracts and €2 million contracts in the sport that had never happened before. So it kind of it transformed what was open to fighters and the routes that they could go down. That was never like that before. So like I said, I got onto a couple of the kind of top juniors that I'd had and hadn't seen in a while, just to sort of say, look, you're aware of what's going on in the sport. There's these changes. There's these routes forward. And Sean Starr, who I know quite well, he's made him one. He was like, yeah, bring him back up. And then when Sean left the football, then he's been flat out in the Muay Thai. But now he started training MMA, so he's doing a little bit less Muay Thai. But it's like I said, it goes up and it goes down, you know. I think it's good that people try a few different sports. I think it's good that they kind of, especially when they're young, they keep all their options open, and then you can always zero in on one further down the line, you know.
I have 2 questions before I pass back to Daisy, and the kind of one for each of you, and they kind of link. I know, Rob, you've been to Thailand to train, and my first question, I guess, is what is Thailand like? And for Sean, is that somewhere that you would be interested in going? Obviously, that's the home of Muay Thai, I'm guessing. So I'll go to you first, Rob. How was Thailand?
Yeah, Thailand's amazing. It's an unbelievable place for endless amounts of reasons. It's I went over there. I think I was over there on a holiday around the time that I just started Muay Thai, and then a while after that, I got a chance to get a job over there. I was basically offered an internship. I was working as a journalist. I just finished university, and I got a job in a property magazine over there. But it meant I was able to live in Thailand and just spend all my time training. And it was one of these things. It was like, it's like a lot of expat communities. Like, people tend to meet up around the pub. You know, everybody's on the session when they're not working. You know, that type of thing. Like, and it kind of, you know, you can only do the holiday mode in Thailand thing for so long when you have to get up for work the next morning. It's just, it wasn't good, you know. So it was it really helped me, like, being able to just like have a sport that I was already familiar with, get involved with that, and just train away flat out for a year, and had a couple of fights over there and stuff like that. And I kind of, other than lockdown, I was going over every year for another month or a few weeks, jump into a training camp and stuff like that. But it's it is the holy grail of the sport to go over there and fight, you know what I mean, and maybe fight in one of the big stadiums. I didn't get to fight any of the big stadiums, so I was fighting the smaller stadiums, but even at that, for me, I felt like I was, you know, ticking the boxes that Thai boxers should be ticking. Like, you are?
Accomplished.
Yeah, look, I mean, I wasn't, I was no world champion, like, I was good, but I wasn't, I got into it quite late. I got into it, I think I probably started training in 22, 23. You know, that was nearly 20 years ago, so I'm a long time in the sport, but at the same time, when you get into a sport that late, there's only going to be so much you can do. And I was always kind of aware of that, but at the same time, I did have goals for myself, and one of them was to fight in Thailand, fight A-class, fight against some Thais, get some wins against some Thais.
Are they a lot different over there, are they? Like, different level compared to over here?
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you think about it, right, like, learning Muay Thai here is great, like, but if you were to, like, be in Thailand, right, and you wanted to play hurling, you know what I mean? You know, you'll get so good, but eventually you're going to want to come to Ireland to have a crack at it, you know what I mean? Like, to really kind of push yourself and see where you're at, you know? But it's a completely different mentality towards the sport over there, because in Thailand, it's like, I never met any Thais that did it for a hobby. The only Thais that do Muay Thai are doing it for a living. And they all think the Westerners are nuts for wanting to do something that's this tough, this demanding, this not really dangerous, but like this kind of, you know, this type of sport, like, for what will tend to be either little or no money if you're a Westerner, you know. So these lads get into it when they're little kids, and by the time they're 16, they could have 100 fights, 150 fights, pro fights, you know. And it's like, like they're training twice a day, every day. You know, it's their jobs. The gyms, in a lot of cases, are their home. A lot of orphans end up in the Muay Thai gyms. A lot of people who have parents but they're can't maybe afford to feed all the kids, they'll send a couple down to the Muay Thai gym in a different city or whatever, and that's where they're brought up, you know. So it's a very submersive environment for the sport. So when you're that tied into it and the stakes are that high, you know, these lads are fighting to eat. You know what I mean? They're on a different ball game, different playing altogether to the rest of us. Like,
And for you, Sean, and even Aaron, who's been training the past while, is it a goal or a dream for you lads?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, like, you want to go to Thailand and just go, do a training camp and then even fight then. Like, obviously, you want to put yourself in with the best so you can be the best, like, so. Yeah, definitely. I want to try to get to Thailand soon, yeah.
yeah, it'd be a good one for Sean as well, because it's always been hard to try to get matches for Sean because he's quite lightweight for his age. But the Thais are that little bit shorter on average, so there'll be plenty of scraps over there for them, man. So yeah, that has to be done, man. That'd be class. You'll love it over there.
I don't know. Maybe in the future. If I went over now, I get the head punched off me. So maybe when I get a bit more experience, we'll see.
Well able. So what are we looking at? May 14th for your first one? First fight, May 14th in Bloc gym. Spectators welcome. We'll see Aaron do a job on some lad.
Get the banners in.
It's a good point. It's even building on what you're saying, Aaron. I'd love to ask all of you, right? So we're talking about competitive sports, and in every competitive sport there are winners and losers. I'd love to hear from each of you what is your best memory of a win and your worst memory of a loss, and then again from coaches' perspectives, what do you do when people lose? Is there a risk factor there? Is that an important part of competitive sports to manage the losses? But I'd love to hear high points and low points from everyone. Rob, you're first.
I think like high points win was probably my first win in Thailand. I had a tough build up to the fight. My dad passed away like about a month before, and I flew back over to fight. And yeah, won on points, and I got the head slapped off me in the first couple of rounds. And I got back into it and got the win, so that was probably me high point.
And low points.
Low point was actually this draw that he had, and it always bothered me. I felt like I got ripped off a little bit with the result, you know what I mean? And then one day I met this dude that I fought out in town, and it was actually during lockdown, and it was coming to the end of lockdown when you could have a pint on the street, do you remember that? Spotted him, chatting away to him, and he was like, "Listen, I always felt like you won that fight," he said to me. But it bugged me.
Did that
for
help
10
or did that
years,
make it
man.
worse?
It kind of did, but at the same time, it was like, look, it's down as a draw, you know what I mean? But it drove me mad.
You're telling me this now, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
go back.
call me after. You know?
And picking yourself up and picking people up after losses, how important is that in the whole scheme of things?
Look, it can be very difficult. Like, you're always trying to find the right formula of words to say somebody who's just suffered a loss. And to be honest, I don't know if those words exist. You know what I mean? Because no matter what happens, the lads are going to be like going over in their own mind, and it's going to take them time to come to terms with it that they're comfortable with. You know what I mean? But there's always like you just want to tell them that, look, you have to keep it in perspective. It's just one small step on your journey, and it's not a big thing. But that I think just happens in people's own minds over time. You know, some people like Sean's an awful man with a loss.
Right.
He's an awful man. He does be fuming and draws. I remember him absolutely losing it because he got one of his fights to score a draw. But look, it's just one of these things. Like, you just want to let them know that, look, don't let it blow out of proportion. Get back training as soon as you can. Start looking towards your next fight, and just forget about it. Like, it's not going to make any difference in the long term. You know what I mean? But it can be difficult because like
it's unavoidable, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
in fairness, like there are very few people who go through any career, any wins only.
Yeah, there's always going to be setbacks, and it is kind of I guess it's like a little microcosm of what will happen in your life in general. You know what I mean? So sport will kind of teach you how to deal with the setbacks. But they are hard. But like at the end of the day, like, look, the losses are quite fleeting. You know, they're a small part of the journey, and you know, you move on.
Cool. Sean, let us know.
My best winning moment is winning the prestigious DDSL under 12s cup.
Bring us back to that moment.
We were. I played this memory over and over. We were playing and it went to penalty, so we were all like shitting ourselves. We didn't know if we were going to win then.
Who are you playing against? Come on, give us the full picture here.
I couldn't tell you.
Right, so it's all
Nah,
right.
but
who are you playing for?
Ardmore. And we won that. And that was just like the only memory I can really have. Like, of it.
Did you take a penalty?
No, I didn't.
Didn't get it. Would you have if you had to?
If I had to, I would have, but I probably would have shit myself and hit the post or something.
I've missed many important penalties in my career.
Oh no, it was rough now. But that's probably my best moment for football. Like. But like if we win something this year, that'll probably be that because my dad's last year.
Right.
So like if we win that, it'll be a good
What are you
send-off
aiming
for us.
for? Like, with a shout in the league?
Yeah, we've like the league's in our hands,
Right.
and then we have the cup as well. We're in the semi-finals of that. So if we win either or, like it'll be grand. And then it's a good send-off for like the team probably break up after this because everyone's getting a bit old.
That happens.
And then
Low point.
don't think I have them. Oh, COVID wrecked the whole league. We were first and we were gonna win the league, and then just ruined it all. And then they changed it. It was a summer league, and then halfway through the season we were first, and then they changed it to a winter league or something. We could have won it that year as well. So devastated.
Sean, give us your.
This is gonna be a good one. Here's me talking about Ardmore, the EDSL Cup. Like, here we go. Go on.
Highest high, lowest low.
I reckon my highest high was like that Era K1 show when my first fight after 2 years back, and then I won the title obviously. So yeah, that's probably my highest high in the sport because like I hadn't fought in 2 years and then it was for a title as well. So yeah,
I think that was your first headshot fight, wasn't
yeah,
it?
my first headshot fight. Yeah.
Tell me what that means.
Yeah, all my other fights were just body shots only, but I didn't really like that rule. So it was good to have a headshot fight. Gives you a bit more awareness about the fight, like you're just going in there and it's like I can only hit the strap in the body, so it was good, yeah. So that's probably my highest high.
But yeah, he was like, when you're training, when you're used to training without headshots, you know what I mean, and then all of a sudden they're introduced, it's a different ball game, you know, and it's Sean would be a kind of a flashy sort of a fighter, he'd be diving in with shots, spinning around the place and all of a sudden, like, he was cracking my dig right in the head, put him, you know what I mean, and it was a tough fight for him, but first couple of rounds, first round I think was a tough round, but then you started to pull away in the second half of the fight, kind of dominated them by the end, so he was well worthy winner against 500 people in a little arena up in Drogheda. It was class, yeah. Nice big shiny belt at the end of it. But then he came back, your man wanted a rematch, and I don't know what they fed him, but he came back about 3 inches taller, do you remember?
Yeah, stop.
This is around the world.
Yeah, that lad, and Sean fought him again, but he beat him even more convincingly in the second one, and then got another belt for it, you know, so.
Lowest low, Sean.
I'd say losing to that English lad in Limerick.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the internationals are always tough. Like the kind of context there was that there was a big junior show that was put on down in Limerick, probably the biggest junior Muay Thai show in the country. Really, like there'd been kind of lower level like beginners and stuff like that, but this had like all the best lads, all the best junior fighters, and a lot of them were kind of saying goodbye to the junior ranks at that with that fight. Like that's what Sean was doing, and a few other top junior fighters, and they. At that point, like there wasn't really anybody in Ireland that Sean was really that would have been good enough to fight Sean. And same goes for a few of the lads that we brought. So they brought these lads in from England, and in England the Muay Thai scene is very well developed. Obviously, they've got a population that's 10 times the size of ours, so they've a huge pool to draw from. Like they have armies of fighters over there. But yeah, they brought. I think we had 3 of our lads fighting that day. With you, Caleb, and Zane, I think. Yeah, everybody had a tough fight, like everybody, but Caleb got a win, Zane got a loss, and Sean had a loss. But it was a 5-rounder, if I remember right. You did really well in your first 3.
Yeah.
And then like the fatigue, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't like the best. Like we didn't plan out good. Like my dad brought down my mates as well. We were staying in the same hotel room and just having to laugh all night and then waking up and go fight at like 10 in the morning. Like it's just we didn't do it right.
So when you look back on it, there's more than just what happened in the.
Yeah, it wasn't just Like I believe now if I fought him now, like and actually like did a proper beat him. Like he went on to fight for a WBC European title, but he lost it.
Yeah, he was he'd be one of the best in the UK, you know what I mean? So yeah, there was a few things that just didn't stack up, and that can happen, you know what I mean? Like the preparation isn't always where you want it to be, or like you must have been run down or something. Remember you had that big cold sore and all. Like,
I was like 47 kilo or something.
Yeah.
That was my low weight.
Yeah, it was a rough one from like, but you could see he was run down. You know what I mean? Come in, his cold sore taking over half his face. You know what I mean? Get into the ring.
Target for you, lad.
Yeah. I think
Didn't go to sleep till like
you
4
weighed
in
in
the
at
morning.
47 kilo, did you?
Yeah,
At least
47 kilo.
At least 2 kilo of that was that cold sore, man.
Oh,
Aaron, what give us your lifetime of sports highs and lows?
I don't know. My highest high probably isn't even a win on my own. It's probably when my auntie won in New York.
Yeah.
It's because of the build up of the whole thing, and we got the result and all that we were looking for. But yeah, that's probably my highest high. Because even when I was in boxing and all, I had no fights. Like I was just had a couple of exhibitions. That's about it. So I don't know.
But you were part of that. You felt part of that whole.
Yeah, ringside as well. Something else. Lowest low. Tickets are gone. Sold out. Sold out in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
I don't know.
And will you be at it? Are you going to?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yes.
I'm going
I say that was everyone from Bray's highest high, to be honest with you, when she won that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember running around my sitting room screaming on top of my lungs because I was that nervous for it.
Lowest low. I don't know. Don't know. When we lost the final in St. Killian's.
Oh yeah, that was
a bad
a
job.
tough one to take.
What was it? 9-1.
10-2.
That was a few weeks ago, was it?
Yeah.
That one,
Yeah.
Made it all the way to the
That was
finals.
where we didn't get the answers in the WhatsApp group when Paul was dying to
Yeah.
know what the score was, and I thought if there's no one replying, it must be bad.
And I wouldn't mind to say we done well against them.
Yeah.
Like the last time we played
Yeah.
them, we should have beat them, and then we got hammered.
10-2, lads.
It was
Nah.
a yellow weather warning and everything. We were just there playing.
Yeah. We were all
No one
we
wanted
were
to
all
be
in
there.
pitch. Boys running around with sleeves down past their hands.
I don't know. I'm a bit like Rob. Like I'm like when I think about the wrestling, I'm a much better coach than I was a wrestler. So it's other people's achievements really that you kind of take the most pride in. I think Rob as a coach. So obviously I've worked with Sean's cousin since he was 12, and now he's over in America. He was on WrestleMania weekend there last weekend. So for him that was an amazing, and I get a kick out of that and seeing him do well as well.
I was seeing a news article about some lad in the wrestling that was he just in an event there at the weekend or something, pushed his head open or something. Was that him?
That's what I started with. Yeah, so I would have started with him.
It's just that
Ended up getting 14 staples he got
Yeah.
in his head.
It's
Yeah.
very sore, isn't it?
But yeah, so it's
Madman Sports, stay away from that shot.
so it's kind of other people doing well, and then the lows and being able to do what you said, Rob, having the empathy and putting your arm around people and picking them back up. People say, coaching is just, giving orders on the mats. There's a lot more in the psychology, I think, of being a coach and getting the best out of people.
Yeah.
And it's the little stuff that nobody sees.
Paul's Laws having to put up with us.
Rob, you went from being a Muay Thai coach to setting up your own business. How was that? That must have been a huge jump for you to... I know you were up in Shoreline, you were renting the space, and now you have your own space that you're responsible for, and you have a matted area, and you have your Muay Thai section, and you have your weight section. How was that, or what made you do that? Surely the stress in that and risking that for you.
Yeah. I think in any sort of business venture, there's always going to be a big element of risk. I think what is it, over 50% fail in the first 2 years. I think is the stat, So, that's something that losing a fight might prepare you for. You know what I mean? If your business goes arse up, But the way it kind of happened, like I always kind of was interested in business, and like I said, I went to college and studied journalism. But looking back, I think business is what I should have studied. I think that is probably what I'm good at. You know what I mean? I think I've an eye for it, And I had a few little sidelines over the years, I run a fightwear brand supplying martial arts clothing and equipment to different gyms around the world, mostly Europe, UK. And then obviously the sports club is a sports club, but there's also elements that are transferable to business, like for example marketing. You know what I mean? You're getting flyers done, you're getting a website done, you're getting handling cash and your transactions, you're keeping on your balance sheet, all that sort of stuff. But what happened with the gym was that over COVID, we had been training for about 5 years in Shoreline. It was a small little space, but it was one of those things, as bad as COVID was, I think we kind of came out of it stronger, because I'd say if I hadn't been for COVID, we'd still be in that little gym. But over COVID, we got kicked out of the building because it was a council building. None of them, they couldn't take any risks, so everything was by the book. We were training in a field, we were training over the bowling alley, it was rough for a while. And then obviously there was long periods where we weren't training at all. Eventually we got a corner of that gym that we're in now. And then with our numbers being big, the guy we were renting off, his numbers are small, we started taking more and more space. And eventually, by agreement with him, things were going too well for his side. We just decided to, in a way to secure ourselves and the Muay Thai club, take over the whole thing. Because the way I was looking at it, right, we're splitting this unit, the rent has to be paid at the end of the month. If you can't pay, we're all out. You know what I mean? So I was just like, right, we need to bite the bullet here. So yeah, we took over in August of last year. just transformed the whole space, really upgraded our Muay Thai space. We probably have the best Muay Thai facility in the country. I'd say we definitely do, to be honest. It's class down there, like full size competition ring and 15 bags and all this sort of stuff. But we also had to refit the gym and make that something that's appealing to people. And I mean, that's not really my background, as you can tell by looking at me. You know what I mean? I'm not in there smashing the weights every day. But it was interesting. It was great to kind of really have a big substantial business that you could just go for. You know what I mean? And it's been great watching the memberships building up. Like, I was just up there before I came here, and the place is buzzing. It's busy. You know what I mean? It's doing well. It's looking good. Like, and it's the future looks pretty bright for it.
That's brilliant. So there's a huge sense of achievement and that, and pride, I guess, in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and like I said, it was a risk, and it was something that was almost not forced on me, but like COVID pushed me into that space then, and then the business failing on the other side pushed me again. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of glad that I went for it. I probably should have went for it sooner, but look, it's done now, and it's all.
It's a big thing, though, isn't it? To take that step is a big thing.
It is, especially like if you look at the turnaround, like. 2 years ago, like, we've been closed for a year. Nobody knew how long COVID was going to last. Was the club ever going to come back? If I did open it again, where would it be? Some shitty little hall somewhere? Would anybody turn up? Was anybody still interested in the sport? These are the questions you're asking yourself. So to look then, from then to now, like the classes are all busy. We've all these young lads training coming through. You know what I mean? Like really bright futures in the sport, and yeah, it's deadly. It's been a real real turnaround.
Deadly. Before we wrap up, lads, any questions for Rob or anything you've learned from today, Sean? What are you thinking after that? It's a unique journey, isn't it, that Rob's had?
Yeah. Mad the way you're able to like take over a whole gym and all, like have that big setup.
Yeah, it is weird. They'll be kind of pinching me, saying, "Wait a minute, this place is mine." It is like that. You know what I mean? You kind of do have a little bit of imposter syndrome with things sometimes, where you're kind of looking around, going, "I'm gonna get found out any minute. They're all gonna realise that I'm not a real gym manager." You know what I mean? But it's like, the place is great, you know what I mean? Everybody loves it, the feedback's class. You just do what you're supposed to do, you know what I mean? And after a while you realise that, no, you are legit, everything's going right, you know what I mean? It's all, everything's where it's supposed to be, the way it's supposed to be, so.
Deadly. And Sean, what have you learned from today, or any questions for your coach there?
Yeah, obviously, like, when we were up in Shoreline, you couldn't really do as much as what, like, the fighters weren't, like, really, how would I say it? They weren't, like, improving as much now as what you would in the bigger gym, because you have, like, if you wanted to get your strength conditioning up, you have the gym, and then you have all the other like equipment that you can use to become a better fighter. So that's where like the gym's improving with their fighters as well. So lads are getting better and better.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of it's almost like if you build it, they'll come type of thing. You know what I mean? Whereby like the better the facility and the bigger the facility and the more you put into it, like the more people will respond to it. You know what I mean? The fighters are going, "No, this is legit, man. This is like this is something I really want to be part of." And I've seen that now. Like, we've had beginner classes where there's like, a beginner class 2 weeks ago, 40 people showed up, an adult beginner class. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's not a class, that's a seminar, you know what I mean? And we've classes all week. Like, there'll probably be 30 there tonight in the beginners class tonight, you know what I mean? So it's people have a vibe now about the place that it's all going in the right direction, to want to be part of it, you know?
Actually, I have something. Do you reckon Muay Thai's getting a lot bigger now? Like, in Bray and like everywhere else?
I think so. I think, like, I always kind of joke about this, like, but it's funny, like, when you're coaching lads from Bray, it's like, it's almost like the easiest job in the world to coach lads from Bray how to fight, you know what I mean? It's like everybody who comes through the door has hands, like everybody can box nearly, you know what I mean? It's like teaching Eskimos how to build a snowman. It's like all these lads are already deadly, you know what I mean, half the time. So you're just teaching them the technique, like, but I think Bray is a fighting town. I think everybody knows that. And it's a great place.
To the whole of Ireland.
Bray is a fighting town. Like, but no, you know what I mean? Like, in a good way, obviously, with Katie leading the charge there, you know what I mean? Like, he's an unbelievable example for people, but it's it's a great town to coach in, and it is getting more and more popular. There is more people turning up, and at a good time, because like I said, the Olympics is coming up, and after the next Olympics, Muay Thai is going to be part of that. One championship is better to watch than the UFC. It is class, man. So it's a good time. It's a good time to be getting involved in the sport, you know.
And before I just pass to Daisy for his final thoughts as well, Rob, plug everything there. Plug the Fightwear company. Where can people find you? Plug the gym.
Yeah. Bloc Bray. Bloc Bray on Instagram. Go there. Joysu Muay Thai. Joysu MT on Instagram. The Fightwear brand is Knack Muay Fightwear. What other businesses do I have, Sean? Anybody want that car washed, I'll wash that car. Happen for the euro, you know what I mean?
I'm going to pass to Daisy for his final thoughts on what's been a pretty brilliant podcast.
Yeah, it's always interesting for me to see the journeys, and you said at the very start about you can be in it as a competitor and go so far and maybe get some success and some failure, but the journeys for everyone, and for this podcast about young people who are on a journey, so it's fascinating to see something that they're linking in with and who's behind that and what's going on there. And for us as youth workers as well, we're always looking out into the world to see what type of people are working with the young people that we're working with, and it's great to get a sense of that, because there's character in there and there's what you bring as a person and your own life experience alongside your coaching skills and your business management skills, and so it's been really interesting to have you.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's been great. Great to be involved, and it was brilliant having the lads up for those 6 weeks. Like, been able to give something back. It's listening to the lads' podcast there a while ago and hearing them saying like, I don't want to go drinking, but all my mates are going drinking and there's something else to do. You know what I mean? Like that's rough. Like, to me, that's kind of the society letting them down to some degree. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to stand up and say, right, well, if you have a chance to help them out, you have to do it. Like, surely.
Well, we really appreciate you providing the space. The lads really appreciate that too. And thanks for your community spirit. Thanks for joining us today on the podcast. It's been brilliant having you. Rob Carey, reach out to Bloc Gym, Muay Thai in Bray. Any young people looking to try and drop down, have a chat to Rob. For us, we are contactable at youthzonebray@gmail.com, YouthZone Bray on Instagram. You'll find our episodes at YouthZone Bray on YouTube, and we're also on Facebook at YouthZone Bray. Thank you all for listening. We will be back with another episode very soon. And it's been a pleasure, Rob. Thanks so much.
Nice one. Cheers, lads.